that the time of changeover is when a lot of people are paying their rates. And because of the changeover, the implication is that people did not pay. Is that what you're saying?
True.
You're saying people did not pay.
True.
So why did you effect the changeover at a time that you're supposed to be collecting revenue?
Through Honorable Chair,
it was your decision
through Honorable Chair, we only picked single business permit, and I'm saying single business permit, its peak is at January and March, but other revenues were still going on.
There are 11 rows where there was a drop in revenue,
yes,
which cumulatively comes to 20 million.
Yes.
So I don't know whether you have 11 different stories for the 11 different rows. Senator Cherargei.
Let me pick it from where you have left. Governor, how long has been Ibrahim Chisaka been acting as the Governor? How long has been Ibrahim Chisaka has been acting Director of Receiver of Revenue, number one? Number two, Chair, let me pick it from where the Chief Officer left, because it looks like the previous system was more effective than they want to change of. Because if you look even at parking fees, I don't know whether people park only in January, Bwana CEO, because the street parking fees in the 2023-2024 was 14,532,865, sorry. Financially at the previous one, 22,729,785. So, Chair, if you look at the entire parking fees, there was a drop of close to 14 million. He has argued that his single business permit was a drop because people take business permits in January. But on parking fees, the fall is from, in the previous financial year, Governor, was 63,786,285. In the financial year under review was 49,960,973. So there is a fall of almost 14 million. So, Chair, we need to know, Governor, was the intention of changing system into this was to cause inefficiency and allow leakages for an intended purpose? Because looking at the revenue rose cumulatively to 20 million, it looks like the intention was to collect less, or was being collected and somebody was pocketing the money. And finally, Chair, on this receiver of revenue, this maintenance of revenue, Governor, how much were you paying? Either through maintenance of revenue, do you own it, or is there agency fee to that effect? And you mentioned something curiously, Governor. The fourth question will be, you said that the previous vendor left with all the data. Was there no agreement between the county government and the vendor that left? Because I thought those are, and it is good you have one of the advocates here who was my classmate, Chair. He said that the data left with the previous vendor. I thought there was an agreement. So how did he leave without proper handing over of the data to the county government? Can he highlight something on that?
Yeah, because if that is established, then we also have the power under the Public Audit Act to recommend debarment of a service provider who is complicit in matters that contravene the PFM. And so we want to know where the problem lies, whether it's systems, whether it's your collectors, or whether it's a systemic looting from the public. So
that's Chair.
Okay, Vice Chair, then the Governor may respond.
They can respond to both with what Senator Cherargei is asking. I want to ask how you manage your revenue. Do you have a committee, or it's just one person who receives all the revenue? Because then if you have a committee, then weekly or monthly, you can sit to review the performance. Because I'm looking at Cess dropped by 75%. So, okay, you're changing the revenue collection system, but if you're evaluating performance of revenue monthly, for example, didn't you realize that there's a problem? Because 75% is a very huge amount. So how do you manage your revenue collection system or revenue collection in terms of putting data, and when there is a drop, you realize very fast? so that then you can put interventions in place. 75% is a very high drop for Cess. Is it that people are no longer building? They are no longer that would be my question.
Okay, Governor, you may respond. Or Senator, please go on record. Senator
Thank you,
Kataya.
Chair. My name is Senator Mwenta Kataya, member of this committee.
Okay, proceed, Governor.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to address two issues. That one, no system can cure the mindset. So if people want to really steal, the system may reduce, maybe by creating efficiency. And these are things we've been talking about even in Trans-Nzoia, that the system on its own really cannot increase revenue. So the problem of leakages is there. It's a big problem that we are trying to address. Unfortunately, of course, we are discussing this matter at the point when we are changing the system, and therefore the problem has been compounded. Number two, it looks so bad because we are looking at it line by line, then we are comparing 2023 and 2022 and 2023, and we are seeing the very big differences. But you see, there is a line there called miscellaneous receipts, which is 51 million Kenya shillings. Some of the differences you are seeing in these revenue streams, actually because of that confusion, the change of the system, were not captured under those revenue streams, but they were captured as miscellaneous. So we have to look at the revenue stream, we have lost about 10 million, but part of that money is under miscellaneous. Actually, if you remove miscellaneous, it becomes a very, very sorry state. But this money was somehow collected. There was an element of misclassification of the revenue source. As I said at the beginning, we did not have a cordial parting of ways with Zizi. And I can see here we don't want to discuss what has happened subsequently, because yes, indeed, the change affected revenue collection. But when we come here subsequently, we're going to demonstrate that indeed revenue collection has increased as a result of change of the system. Of course, we tried to get the data, but the guy just went to court. He took us to the law courts. He lost the case, and he went to the High Court. So as we speak now, the matter is pending determination by the High Court.
Now, Governor, we are here not just to fault find, but we are here also to find solutions. And when we have this conversation, maybe you looked at the global picture, but we look at the details. This Senate, we are very well equipped alongside our partners, the OAG, the EACC, etc. We look at the details. So we probably will not exit this without exhausting the details and finding a solution that will also help you. And I hope that as you're having this conversation, you can be open-minded, because there is a problem. In fact, when you tell us that 51 million has been lumped up as miscellaneous receipts, that should be a serious problem. There is no way as a shopkeeper you can have, you can receive money and not know whether you sold Omo or salt or sugar. I mean, that's even a corner kiosk is not run like that. So that alone should drive you to demand more from your receiver of revenue. Because we know that the PFM assigns that responsibility to a specific officer who's paid a salary. The question raised by Senator Mwaruma on Cess, for example, I think that Trans-Nzoia has a lot of agricultural activity. Perhaps it's the bedrock of the economy. Just come to that breakdown, note 12 on your financial statement on Cess. Where Cess dropped from 44 million to 11 million. Does it mean that during this transition, because I don't know at what point Cess is collected, is it on the road? Is it at the farm gate? Is it at the market?
On the road.
So does it mean during this transition of system, even the ropes that are put on the roads were pulled out?
Mr. Chairman, as we speak now, because of the measure that we put in place, Cess is the best performing revenue source in Trans-Nzoia as we speak now.
Estimated to be around how much?
Actually, we exceeded by how much last year? 8. Last year, we collected 8 million from Cess.
So there's no reason why Cess should ever go down in any financial year, isn't it?
There isn't any reason why it should.
So where you've got a 30 million drop in Cess, it means probably 30 million plus was collected and stolen.
That possibility is there.
Now let's deal with that possibility so that we assign responsibility.
Chair, you have made a very crucial point on receiver of revenue. The governor has chose to ignore my question on how long the receiver of revenue has been acting, because that is a very important person in terms of the whole architecture and design. Governor, you have not answered the question on how long your receiver of revenue has been acting, because from the report that is on receiver of revenue is here, how long has he been acting, yet he is paid and designated. And then, Chair, in addition to Cess, I also believe issues of parking should be easy, because you remember Turkana even were using POS in terms of parking fees within Kitale, within Lodwar town. So the question should be, even in street parking fees, the drop of 14 million is very high, because the street parking is marked and it is easy to know which street parking is. So the governor, as he answers how long the ROR has been acting on the issue of parking, and also says almost go in similar way, because these street parking are marked and it can be easily traced. Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Chairman, if you go on page 21 of our document, you'll see how we have disaggregated that miscellaneous.
Page 21 of which document? Because you had responded to...
The receiver of revenue document.
Your response was on page 92. So we go back to page 21.
21. Of the 15 million under miscellaneous, page 21.
51 million, not 15, right?
Of the 51 million, yes. Total 51 million, 51, Cess accounts for 18 million. So this 18 million should have been captured under Cess.
That leaves us with a gap of about 14 million compared to prior year, isn't it? It's still a drop.
Yeah.
And I want to emphasize this. You don't need to be defensive on this unless you are an accomplice. Allow us to have this conversation so that your staff, your receiver of revenue, can understand the consequence of professional negligence or the consequence of doing things against the Act. And I think that's why Senator Cherargei is turning the heat on the ROR, the receiver of revenue. They have a responsibility under the PFM. And I think that if we just do a slap on the wrist on this thing and say that things have improved in subsequent years, there appears to be 20 million that has been stolen from the people of Trans Nzoia. Let's have this conversation so that we know where EACC should go. Whether they should go after the system vendors, whether they should go after the ROR, or whether they should go after the CEO. I think, Governor, you have agreed there is a problem. You've agreed there's a possibility of loss of funds if you look at these movements. Perhaps in the subsequent year we'll see an improvement. But that does not excuse this financial year. Senator Ombwa.
Governor, on that page 21, I'm looking at miscellaneous receipt from Slaughterhouse. 38,000. And I'm wondering, is it that the people of Trans Nzoia don't consume meat, or most of them are SDS? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, really, 38,000.
You know the chair is an Adventist.
I'm an Adventist.
Yes.
So
Chair, I think one of your relatives live in Trans Nzoia. I mean,
we eat meat.
You eat meat?
Yes.
So, what?
Soya meat, not meat.
What is that? What's the explanation there, Governor?
Yeah, Chair, but there is a question by Senator Cherargei that should not be lost. When did the ROR begin acting? what happened to the previous ROR? Is it because, or was he or she, did she pave way because of possible malfeasance in revenue collection? I think that's an important question.
Governor, the slaughter fee and the ROR question.
Mr. Chairman, I cannot give a concrete response why the slaughter fee was low. Maybe the number of animals that were brought to be slaughtered were fewer. That could be the reason. I don't have any other reason for that, because
I think
the target.
It's also very difficult when you have already admitted that there were some data integrity issues, because it's also very difficult now to explain how some of those things arose. Because I thought it would have been easier to say, yes, we have had challenges, we have data integrity issues, we have migration issues, and therefore, what then should we recommend? Because if you try to explain numbers,
Chair, that's what I began by saying,
which in your view are not verifiable, then
I've already said that the system can't replace the mindset.
yeah.
That's what I said. But you know, when you ask for information, I'm providing it, and then somewhere it becomes defensive, and the information is here. I'm just trying to say that says a second not this much, but it's this much. There's a shortage indeed, and we admit there's a shortage.
Correct.
Can we do better? I believe we can do better.
The bottom line is that there's a 20 million drop, which is not consistent with economic growth trends. Now, the question on the ROR asked by both Senator Cherargei and Senator Maruma.
As a county government, we've not been able to have a substantive receipt of revenue for some time. Actually, our last attempt to have one also failed. So we've been having acting receivers of revenue. I think we've had three now. Mr. Gisaka has been in office for the last 6 months or so. And all these changes are just in an attempt to get it right in terms of revenue collection.
No, Governor, the gentleman to your left is CC Finance.
Yes.
Should advise you that pursuant to PFM Act Section 165(2)A, there is nothing like an acting receiver of revenue. It requires the CEC Finance to designate in writing a receiver of revenue. While they have been designated, they are not acting, they are substantive. CEC, have you designated in writing a receiver of revenue? Because there's nothing, you can have director revenue that can be acting, but the receiver of revenue is appointed, and whether they are an intern or whether they are substantive as long as the appointment is in force. This is a responsibility of CC Finance pursuant to Section 165(2)A of the PFM Act.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I have designated him as the receiver of revenue, but the acting director of revenue.
But so there's nothing like acting receiver of revenue. They can be acting director of revenue, but as long as the designation lasts, they're substantive. And they take responsibility for any material non-disclosure or any shortfalls in the receiver of revenue statements. So now, members, we probably need to proceed because I think Governor has admitted that there's a problem, even though there is attributes it perhaps to a cause that we do not agree with.